Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 176 of Show Fever. Today we'll be going over chapter 11 of Haunted Peak entitled Paradise. Where this chapter starts off, we see as Miko is kind of helping Ebihara kind of clean around on the mountain, and we see that in fact Ebihara has the foundation of his cabin finished. And we see as Miko's like, yo, maybe you should put some concrete on that thing to make sure it stands nice and stable. It might slant and fall if not. And he's like, well, it'll be fine. If it falls, I'll just rebuild just like every man does. And so we see ultimately Miko's like, all right, well, I gotta head down to the mountain for the rest of the day, so I'll see you later. So as Miko heads down, and on the way down, he notices his cat Kusuma, the family cat, and ultimately he ends up bringing it back, and his sister ends up whining to him like, he only goes up there because you're over there. And we see as his mom complains about cleaning the paws and everything so he doesn't get the house dirty. But then we see as Miko just ignores her, and she's like, Miko's been ignoring me ever since, ever since the pork meat fiasco, or the boar meat fiasco. And we see as Miko's dad's there, and he just kind of talking about, well, I would have thrown it away if it hadn't been. And then we see as Miko leaves without grabbing any breakfast, and his father notices, and like, yo, why did you leave without grabbing any breakfast? And then after that, we see as his mom's like, yeah, he hasn't been eating breakfast since high school. He's just always came back and grabbed some bread or something before going to the mountain after school. And he's like, oh, we're surprised I didn't notice that. So we see then as Miko ends up heading to school, and here is where Momiji encounters him. And we see as Momiji pulls up, and she's like, yo, are we still down to go to the mountain and all that? We want to record that guy. And she's like, Roka ended up having a basketball thing, so he can't come with us, so it'll just be me and you. So we see this, and then Miko is like, no, I don't want to do that, because I'm the one literally trespassing. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think we should go up there and bother this man anymore. And so we see then as Miko kind of goes off, and Momiji ends up texting Roka, and she's like, yo, Miko's really weird right now. And then we see as Roka ends up saying, so I don't have to show up and say my basketball thing got canceled. This really makes me mad, even madder at Momiji than I have been in previous chapters, because holy smokes, bro was legit lying to Miko about her and him being able to be alone on the mountain just so she could get to go up on the mountain. She was just trying to lure him in via the, I guess, benefit of her and him having some alone time, which is, that kind of makes me kind of mad, because she was just doing that to try and get what she wanted rather than taking Miko's feelings into consideration, which really sucks. But yeah, so then after that, we see as Miko's kind of going about the school, and ultimately he ends up crossing by Roka, and Roka's like, yo, hey, how's it going? Miko's just like, hey, keeps walking. So we see as Miko is starting to like actually kind of lock in when it comes to his friends and realizing the manipulation they're kind of placing on him. Now Roka is chill. Roka, I don't believe he is too big on what they're doing with Miko, and obviously Roka is not big on Momiji himself. He's really doing it to satisfy the I guess stigma around the school, trying to keep drama from arising. And so we see as this plays out, and then ultimately we also get to see as we get a perspective of the owner of the Susono Inn, which is Mayu that we saw previously when she talked with Momiji, not Momiji but Miko, about the man up on the hill, Ebihara, as we know now. And so we see as this plays out, and ultimately she's sitting in her car and she's talking about how a bunch of old men are on this dating app she's using. Then ultimately she ends up getting out of her car and she sees Miss Aoi. Miss Aoi is Miko's mom. And so they end up talking, and we see as they kind of discuss about the mountain, and she's like, oh, I heard you sold the mountain. And Miss Aoi's like, yeah, we just couldn't keep it up anymore, but Miko keeps going up there. I wish the new owner would come around so that he would drive him off. And then we see as Miss Aoi's thinking, she's like, the new owner's already up there, and Miko could possibly going in and encountering a murderer. She believes still that Ebihara is a murderer. And we see as they discuss, and she sees how she remembers that Miko had talked about wanting to record and all that. And then we see as she thinks, oh, Miko could be putting himself in some serious danger right now, so we need to worry about this. And that's kind of where the chapter ends. So this leaves me thinking, are we going to see as Ebihara gets framed, or is Ebihara truly a murderer? Because we know that Mayu previously lived in Tokyo, because we see she mentions about how after getting out of the car, she wished she was still in Tokyo where all the hot studs were. And so we see that she mentions this. So we also know that Ebihara was originally from Tokyo, because could there be more to the story than Ebihara is letting on? Because yes, with them both being local, I know Tokyo is a massive city, but both of them being locals means that Mayu likely has the possibility of knowing more about Ebihara than Ebihara has revealed to Miko. So there is that possibility of Ebihara still being a delinquent of some sort. But I highly doubt it based off Ebihara's character and all that. He seems like a really chill guy. I might just be being deceived. This might just be the biggest swap up in all history. But I am very skeptical on the idea of Ebihara being a murderer. I believe it's still just rumors. because of his mysterious kind of miasma he has around him. But there is that possibility that Ebihara could in fact actually be a murderer. He's just refusing to reveal it to Ebihara because, not Ebihara, but to Miko, because he wants Miko to see him as this good guy who he can connect with and all of that. So I'm really curious to see how this plays out, because now we do most certainly have the foundation for a new story arc to begin. We have the possibility of Mayu revealing to Miss Aoi, or Miko's mom, that Ebihara is in fact a skeptical dude, and then her keeping Miko from going up there because of this, out of the fear for his life, even though I highly doubt Miss Aoi would even do that, because she does not care about her son at all, or at least doesn't care about griping on him a lot. But yeah. So I'm really, really excited to see where this plays out. And we don't have another chapter for 2 weeks, which kind of sucks, but it's the Shonen Jump break week. So I hope I know whatever comes out will be good, and I'm just really ready to see what they do with this new plot point here, and how we see as Roka, Momoji, and Miko's kind of friendship develop, and alters here, because they are now being kind of cold-shouldered by Miko, which is good. Miko is good for doing that, because he's realized the manipulative nature of them. But we still have time to see how it will play out. We might see if they make amends or something like that, or they actually start to become good people. I don't know. But yeah. So I'm really super excited to see how this plays. I'm really excited to see how Mayu plays more of a role in the story, because now that Mayu is a recurring character, I believe that she will play a pretty large role in the story, and I believe she'll play a large role in kind of outing Ebihara if it comes to that. If they will revealing either if he is actually a murderer or just helping to, I guess, spread a rumor which is false. So I'm really ready to see how that story ends up playing out. And yeah, that's all there really was for chapter 11 of Haunted Peak entitled Paradise. That's all I really have for episode 176 of Shelf Review. So thank you very much for watching.